In 1885, I counted every star in the sky, a feat no one thought possible, until I found a star that shouldn't exist, and it changed everything. My name is Elias Hawthorne, and in 1885, I was a 19-year-old prodigy obsessed with the stars. Every night, I'd climb to the hill behind our village, telescope in hand, mapping the heavens. My father, a schoolteacher, taught me mathematics, but the sky was my true classroom. I didn't just observe. I counted, cataloged, and calculated. By age 16, I'd memorized every constellation visible from our rural English home. People called me a genius, but I was driven by something deeper, a need to understand the universe's order. The stars were my puzzle, and I was determined to solve it. I spent years sketching their positions, noting their brightness, their patterns. No one in the village understood why I'd stare at the sky until dawn. They'd laugh, saying I was chasing dreams. But I wasn't dreaming, I was counting. By 1885, I'd vowed to tally every visible star. It was an impossible task, they said. I didn't care. The night sky was mine to conquer. My method was meticulous. I divided the sky into grids, each a square I could track. My telescope, a gift from a traveling astronomer, was my only tool. I'd spend hours adjusting its lenses, ensuring precision. Each night, I'd focus on one grid, counting every star within it. I recorded their positions in a leather-bound notebook, my handwriting small to save space. By summer, I counted thousands, cross-referencing with star charts. I'd lie on the hill, the grass damp beneath me, lost in the vastness above. The stars weren't just lights, they were stories, each with a name, a place. I felt like I was decoding the universe itself. My mother worried I'd ruin my eyes. My father said I'd outgrow it. But I couldn't stop. The numbers grew, and so did my obsession. I was close, so close, to mapping it all. By August, I counted 12,487 stars. I was proud, but exhaustion was creeping in. My hands shook from writing. My eyes ached from squinting. Still, I pushed on, driven by a need to finish. The villagers started noticing my work. Some called it madness, others genius. A local newspaper wrote about the boy who counts the stars. I didn't care for the attention. I cared for the sky. Each night felt like a race against dawn. I'd whisper the numbers to myself, keeping track in my head. One evening, a farmer stopped by, asking why I bothered. "The stars don't change," he said. I smiled, knowing he was wrong. The stars held secrets, and I was uncovering them. I'd already found discrepancies in old charts. I was rewriting the heavens. Then came the night of August 12th. I was on my usual hill, my telescope aimed at a familiar grid. The air was crisp, the sky clear, a perfect night. I scanned the stars, counting as always, when something caught my eye. A faint light, barely visible, flickered in a spot I'd mapped before. I checked my notes. Nothing should have been there. My heart raced as I adjusted the telescope. The light was steady, not a comet or a planet. It was a star, but it wasn't in any chart. I rechecked my calculations, thinking I'd made an error. I hadn't. This star was new, unrecorded, impossible. I sat back, staring at the sky, my mind reeling. I'd found something that shouldn't exist. I spent the next night confirming it. The star was still there, defiant in its wrongness. I cross-referenced every star chart I owned, nothing. I checked older records, borrowed from a professor in London. Still nothing. My discovery felt like a secret the universe had whispered only to me. I named it Anomaly, a placeholder until I understood it. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. The star consumed me. Was it new? Had it always been there, unnoticed? I wrote to astronomers, sharing my coordinates, but most dismissed me as a fanciful boy. One replied, a Dr. Whitaker, urging me to keep observing. I did, night after night, tracking Anomaly's position. It didn't move like other stars. It was wrong in ways I couldn't explain. The village buzzed with rumors about my ghost star. Some said I was cursed, others that I'd found God's lantern. I ignored them, focusing on Anomaly. I noticed it pulsed faintly, unlike any star I'd seen. I recorded its brightness, its rhythm, in my notebook. My grids, once orderly, now revolved around this single point. I began to doubt my own sanity. Was I seeing things? But my telescope didn't lie. Anomaly was real, and it was challenging everything I knew. I wrote to Dr. Whitaker again, detailing its behavior. His reply was brief. "You may have found something extraordinary." I felt validated but terrified. What was I chasing? The stars were supposed to be predictable, eternal. Anomaly broke those rules. By September, I was obsessed. I'd stopped counting other stars, focusing only on Anomaly. I'd climb the hill at dusk, my telescope heavier each night. I noticed patterns. Its pulses weren't random. They followed a sequence, almost like a code. I spent days deciphering it, filling pages with numbers. I barely spoke to my family. They didn't understand. My father begged me to rest, but I couldn't. Anomaly was a message. I was sure of it. I began to dream of it, a glowing point in a sea of black. In my dreams, it spoke, though I couldn't understand the words. I woke each morning more determined. The universe was talking, and I was listening. I just needed to crack the code. One night, a storm nearly kept me indoors, but I braved it. The wind howled, but the sky cleared just enough. Anomaly was brighter that night, its pulses faster. I scribbled notes, my hands numb from cold. The sequence was clearer now, repeating every 47 seconds. I calculated its position relative to other stars. It didn't fit any known orbit. I began to wonder if it wasn't a star at all. Could it be something else? A signal? A machine? My mind spun with possibilities, each more outlandish than the last. I laughed at myself, but the thought lingered. I was a boy from a small village, yet I'd stumbled onto something cosmic. Anomaly was rewriting my world. Dr. Whitaker visited in October. He was old, skeptical, but curious. I showed him my notes, my telescope, Anomaly itself. He watched it for hours, silent. Finally, he spoke. "This could be historic, Elias." He urged me to publish, to share my findings. But I wasn't ready. Anomaly's pulses were changing, growing erratic. I needed more data, more time. Whitaker left, promising to return. I felt the weight of his words, historic. I was no longer just counting stars. I was chasing a mystery. The village watched me now, not with mockery but awe. I didn't care. Anomaly was mine, and I wouldn't rest until I understood it. By November, I was unraveling. Sleep was a memory. My eyes burned constantly. Anomaly's pulses had stabilized, but their meaning eluded me. I'd filled 3 notebooks with calculations, none yielding answers. I began to hear whispers in the pulses, though I knew it was impossible. My mother prayed for me, fearing I'd lost my mind. I wondered if she was right. But then, on November 8th, I cracked it. The pulses matched a mathematical sequence, prime numbers, arranged in a way no star could produce. It wasn't natural. It was deliberate. I sat on the hill, staring at Anomaly, my heart pounding. I'd found proof of something beyond Earth. The stars weren't just lights, they were alive. The realization hit me like a thunderbolt. Anomaly wasn't a star. It was a signal, a beacon. I spent days verifying my findings, rechecking every calculation. The prime number sequence was unmistakable, repeating every 47 seconds. No natural phenomenon could produce it. I wrote to Dr. Whitaker, my hands trembling as I described what I'd found. He replied quickly, urging me to keep it secret until we could confirm it. I agreed, but the weight of the discovery was crushing. I was a boy from a village, yet I'd stumbled onto evidence of intelligence beyond our world. I couldn't tell anyone, not yet. The villagers already thought I was mad. I kept working, alone, my telescope my only companion. I began to notice changes in myself. I was gaunt, my clothes hanging loosely. My mother begged me to eat, but food seemed trivial. Anomaly consumed me. I started sketching it. Not just its position, but its essence. My drawings were frantic, filled with spirals and numbers. I felt it watching me, though I knew that was absurd. Its pulses grew stronger, as if responding to my attention. I began to talk to it, whispering questions into the night. What are you? Why are you here? No answers came, but I felt a connection. The stars had always been my refuge. Now they were my obsession. Anomaly wasn't just a discovery, it was my purpose. By December, I was preparing to publish. Dr. Whitaker helped me draft a paper, though I insisted on keeping some details vague. I didn't want to share Anomaly completely. Not yet. We titled it An Uncharted Celestial Phenomenon. I sent it to the Royal Astronomical Society, my heart racing. They were skeptical but intrigued. They invited me to present in London. I'd never left the village, never spoken to a crowd. The thought terrified me, but Anomaly drove me forward. I packed my notes, my telescope, and boarded a train. The city was overwhelming, a maze of noise and smoke. But I felt Anomaly above, guiding me. I was ready to tell the world. The presentation was a blur. I stood before scholars, my voice shaking as I described Anomaly. I showed my charts, my calculations, the prime number sequence. Some laughed, others whispered. One astronomer accused me of fabricating it, but Dr. Whitaker defended me, citing my meticulous records. The room debated fiercely. Some saw genius, others madness. I left feeling exposed, as if I'd betrayed Anomaly by sharing it. That night, I looked for it through a borrowed telescope. It was fainter, its pulses slower. My stomach sank. Was it fading? Had I angered it by revealing its secret? I returned to the village, haunted by doubt. Back home, I checked Anomaly every night. It was still there, but weaker. I wondered if I'd imagined its strength before. My notes were my anchor, proving it was real. The villagers treated me differently now. Some with reverence, others with fear. A journalist visited, wanting my story. I refused, protective of Anomaly. Dr. Whitaker wrote, saying the society was divided. Some wanted to observe Anomaly themselves. Others dismissed it as a fluke. I didn't care about their opinions. Anomaly was mine, and it was slipping away. I doubled my efforts, staying up all night, tracking its changes. Its pulses were erratic now, like a heartbeat slowing. I felt helpless, desperate to save it. By January 1886, Anomaly was barely visible. I panicked, checking my telescope for flaws. It was fine. Anomaly was fading. I wrote to Dr. Whitaker, begging for advice. He suggested it might be a transient phenomenon, like a nova. But novas didn't pulse with prime numbers. I knew it was something else, something alive. I began to dream of it again, but now it was silent, drifting away. I felt like I was losing a friend. My mother found me crying one morning, my notebook clutched to my chest. She didn't understand, but she held me. I couldn't explain that Anomaly wasn't just a star. It was my purpose, my proof that the universe was more than we knew. I stopped eating, stopped sleeping. My family forced me to rest, but I'd sneak out to the hill. Anomaly was a ghost now, a faint speck. I screamed at it one night, begging it to stay. The villagers heard, and the rumors grew. I was cursed, possessed. I didn't care. I kept watching, kept recording. On February 3rd, it vanished. I checked every grid, every chart, nothing. Anomaly was gone. I sat on the hill, staring at the empty sky, my notebook open but blank. The universe felt hollow, like it had betrayed me. I'd counted every star, found something impossible, and lost it. I was alone again, just a boy with a telescope. The weeks that followed were dark. I didn't touch my telescope. My notebooks sat untouched, a reminder of my failure. Dr. Whitaker wrote, urging me to move on, to study other stars. But they felt meaningless without Anomaly. My father tried to cheer me, saying I'd made history. I didn't believe him. The society published my paper, but it was met with skepticism. Some called it a hoax, others pitied me. I burned their letters. The village moved on, but I couldn't. I'd seen something no one else had, something that proved we weren't alone. Yet I had no proof now, just memories. I began to doubt myself, wondering if I had imagined it all. One night, I returned to the hill, not to observe, but to think. The stars were still there, countless and cold. I opened my notebook, reading my old notes. The prime number sequence stared back at me, undeniable. I hadn't imagined it. Anomaly was real, even if it was gone. I started writing again, not about stars, but about what I'd learned. The universe was vast, unknowable, but it had spoken to me. I wasn't a prodigy anymore, just a boy who'd glimpsed something extraordinary. I decided to keep searching, not for Anomaly, but for answers. The sky was full of secrets, and I'd find them. I owed it to myself, to Anomaly. I began counting stars again, slowly. Not for fame, but for me. Each number felt like a step toward understanding. I wrote to Dr. Whitaker, thanking him for his support. He invited me to study in London, to join other astronomers. I accepted, leaving the village behind. The city was daunting, but the stars were the same. I worked with scholars, sharing my methods, my grids. They respected me, not for anomaly, but for my precision. I published more papers, mapping new regions of the sky. Anomaly faded from my talks, but never from my heart. It was my secret, my spark. I knew I'd find it again, or something like it. The universe was waiting. Years passed, and I became a respected astronomer. My name appeared in journals, my methods taught to students. But anomaly remained my private obsession. I kept its notebook hidden, rereading it when doubt crept in. I never saw it again, but I never stopped looking. Every clear night, I'd skim the sky, hoping for a flicker or pulse. Colleagues asked about my drive, why I worked so tirelessly. I'd smile, saying the stars were my home. They didn't know about anomaly, didn't know it had changed me. I wasn't chasing fame anymore, I was chasing truth. The universe was bigger than we imagined, and I'd seen proof. I carried that knowledge like a torch. In 1890, I built my own observatory. It was small, but it was mine. I equipped it with the best telescopes, funded by my publications. Students came to learn, drawn by my reputation. I taught them to count, to question, to never assume the sky was fixed. Some laughed, calling me eccentric, but others listened. I told them the stars held secrets, that we were only beginning to understand. I never mentioned anomaly, but it shaped every lesson. I'd watch my students gaze at the sky, their eyes wide with wonder, and I'd remember myself at 19. They were counting stars, just as I had. I hoped one of them would find something impossible, too. By 1900, I was no longer the boy on the hill. I was a man, graying, respected but restless. The astronomical community had moved on to new discoveries, planets, nebulae. I contributed, but my heart was elsewhere. I kept Anomaly's notebook locked in a drawer, its pages yellowing. Late at night, I'd read it, tracing the prime number sequence. It was still perfect, still impossible. I began to wonder if I'd been chosen, if Anomaly had meant for me to find it. The thought was arrogant, but it lingered. Why me? Why 1885? I wrote a private memoir, detailing everything, but I never published it. Anomaly was mine, not the world's. One night, a student brought me a new star chart. It was modern, precise, but something caught my eye, a faint mark in Anomaly's old grid. My heart stopped. I checked it against my notes. The coordinates matched. I rushed to my telescope, scanning the sky. Nothing was there, but the chart suggested something had been. I questioned the student, who said it was a recent observation, unverified. I spent weeks investigating, contacting observatories worldwide. Most had no record of it, but one in America reported a similar anomaly in 1899. It was gone now, but it had pulsed, just like mine. I wasn't alone. Someone else had seen it. I wrote to the American Observatory, sharing my findings. They were cautious, but intrigued. We exchanged letters, piecing together fragments of data. Their anomaly had vanished, too, but its pulses matched mine. Prime numbers, 47 seconds. I felt vindicated, alive again. Anomaly wasn't a fluke. It was part of something bigger. I proposed a joint study, but they hesitated, citing lack of evidence. I understood. Their anomaly was gone, just like mine. But I had my notebooks, my proof. I began to plan a new project, to search for these transient signals. I called them Elias events, a quiet nod to my discovery. The universe was speaking, and I was still listening. By 1910, I was aging, my eyes weaker. Telescopes had improved, but I still used my old one for nostalgia. My students had taken over much of my work, but I kept searching. Every clear night, I'd look for Elias events, hoping for another anomaly. I found nothing, but I didn't despair. The sky was vast, and I'd seen its secrets once. I began to mentor young astronomers, urging them to question everything. The stars aren't just lights, I'd say. They're messages. Some nodded, others smiled politely. I didn't care. I was planting seeds, just as Anomaly had planted one in me. The universe would reveal itself again in time. My health declined, but my mind stayed sharp. I wrote a final paper, Not about anomaly, but about the pursuit of the unknown. It was well received, though few knew its true inspiration. I retired to my village, to the hill where it all began. The stars were still there, unchanged. I counted thousands, but only one mattered. Anomaly had shown me the universe was alive, that we weren't alone. I didn't need fame or proof anymore. I had my truth. I'd sit on the hill, my telescope beside me, and remember. The villagers called me a legend now, the boy who counted the stars. They didn't know the half of it. In my final years, I shared Anomaly with a few trusted students. I showed them the notebook, the prime number sequence. They were skeptical but curious, promising to keep looking. I felt relieved, like I'd passed on a torch. I didn't need the world to believe me. I needed someone to keep searching. The universe was too big for one lifetime. I spent my last nights on the hill, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the sky. Anomaly was gone, but its memory burned bright. I found something impossible, and it had shaped me. I was ready to rest, knowing I'd touched the stars. I died in 1920, my telescope still by my side. My students carried on, some chasing Elias events, others mapping new stars. The astronomical community forgot Anomaly, but my notebooks survived, locked in my observatory. Decades later, a researcher found them, publishing my story. They called it a curiosity, a footnote in history. But some read it and wondered. Observatories began reporting faint, pulsing signals, always fleeting. They didn't know about Anomaly, but I did. I'd seen it first, a boy on a hill in 1885. The universe had spoken, and I'd listened. My life was proof that the impossible was real. My story isn't about fame or glory, it's about wonder. I counted every star I could see, and one changed everything. Anomaly wasn't just a light. It was a question, a challenge. It taught me the universe is alive, full of mysteries waiting to be found. I'm gone now, but the stars remain. Somewhere someone is looking up, counting, questioning. They'll find their own anomaly, their own truth. The sky is vast, and it's calling. Keep looking, keep wondering. The universe has more to say. I found one impossible star. You might find the next. The heavens are waiting for you. If you love this journey through the stars, subscribe to our channel for more stories that spark wonder and curiosity.